Okay, hello students, welcome back to the CS class. So we are studying chapter 1, that is typical configuration of computer system. Till now we saw regarding motherboard, its types, characteristics and some of the components of the motherboard. Now moving on to the next component in the computer system, that is memory. So what is a memory basically? We are all human beings, right? We have a memory, yes or no? Do you people remember what breakfast you had in this morning today? Yes or no? If I ask you, what do you say? Somebody will say yes, idli, dosa, uppit, all those things. Yes. How are you able to say all these things? Because that is stored in your memory. Yes, human beings, we have something to store. Whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we understand, to store all those things, we have something that is a memory, that is in our brains. Similarly, if you want to store some data onto the computer system, that data can be anything, like say you want to store one image or any file, a written file. That can be PDF file, Word file or a PPT presentation, or you want to store some images, or you want to store a video, yes, a movie. You on the computer system, there should be some space in a computer system, yes or no? Without the space, can we store anything? No. And that space in the computer system is nothing but a memory, yes. But that memory is made up of electronic components. Since the computer is what? It is nothing but an electronic machine, yes. So computer is built up of based on the electronic components. So even the memory in the computer system is also made from the electronic components. So that memory in the computer is called as electronic storing space. So there you can store any instructions in the sense, a set of instructions are nothing but software. I mean, you can store any softwares or data in the sense whatever I told now, files, images, videos, all those things, yes. So remember, memory refers to a computer. Memory refers to the electronic storing space for instructions and data. Now basically, the memory in a computer, it can be divided into two basic types. First one is internal memory and second one is secondary memory. So here we are not going into too much depth of all these memories. Simply we are studying here internal memories. Okay, last year we have studied memory in a detail. Yes, all types of memory, and in those again which are the subtypes of memories are there. Here we are briefing about those memories. Okay, now we will see one by one. First one is internal memory. What is this internal memory? This memory includes registers, cache memory and primary memory. And remember, internal memories, it is divided into three types. One is registers, cache memory and primary memory. Then what is basically internal memory means? These internal memories, registers, cache memory and primary memory, all these memories can be directly accessed by our processor. Means if I have stored some data on the primary memory in the RAM, yes, so I can directly access that data which is there in the RAM by the CPU. Directly I can access it, yes. So these all things are directly connected to the CPU. That is nothing but internal memory. So we will study one by one what are these memories. The first one is registers. So what is this register? The registers are nothing but they are the high speed temporary storage areas located inside the CPU. Remember, registers are the high speed temporary storage areas located inside the CPU. Yes, till now what we saw, computer is made up of how many components? Which are those? Input output devices will be there, memory will be there and CPU will be there. We saw memory last year. What we saw, memory was a different component and the CPU was a different component. But here registers, what they are saying, they are the high speed memory temporary storage which are located inside the CPU. Yes, see, we have seen we have a RAM memory, we have a ROM memory. When we have this RAM is what? That holds the currently being executed statements, yes or no? And right now we have opened a Word file that will be there, where that will be stored in a RAM, yes. So when we have a RAM memory working with us, why we need these registers then? Yes, So last year we have done the program C++ programs. Yes, we have written a program there. Suppose if I have written program to add two numbers a plus b. Yes, I have written a program to add two numbers a plus b. Yes. Okay, now that program, when you have opened that program will be temporarily stored in the RAM memory. Yes, this we have seen in the last year. When that program is stored in the RAM memory, then why we need these registers? Yes. See, what happens in the computer, everything, each and every operation should be executed by what? That should be executed by the processor. We have seen, right? CPU consists of ALU and CU, arithmetic logic unit, and a control unit. In the arithmetic and logic unit, what we do? We perform arithmetic and logic operations. So through the program, what I am doing here? I am performing addition, that is a plus b. That is nothing but arithmetic operation. Yes. So in the RAM memory, I cannot perform this addition. I can simply tell the computer that perform this a plus b. But internally, how this operation will take place? That will take place through the processor only, inside the processor only. Yes. So right now that A and B are in the RAM memory. A consists of data say 2, B consists of say data 3. I have to bring this data 2 and 3 into the processor because I want to process my data inside the processor only, right? Because processor is the one which processes our data. Yes. So when I bring this data 2 and 3 to the processor, so in that processor also I should have some temporary storage spaces to store these data. Yes, directly it cannot be added. That has to be stored temporarily in some storage spaces inside the CPU. So inside the CPU, where I can store this 2 and 3 before adding, that is nothing but they are stored temporarily in the registers. Yes, so through the registers we are going to perform these operations inside the CPU. Okay, this was just for your information I told. So now you remember, registers are the high speed temporary storage areas located inside the CPU. Okay, so as I said, after the CPU gets the data and instruction from the cache or a RAM memory, the data and instructions, they are moved to registers for further processing, and these registers work under the direction of control unit. Yes, what data we want to process, that will be there initially in the RAM. So after getting the data from RAM into the CPU, that in the CPU where it will be stored temporarily in the registers. Yes, and this addition takes place based on the control unit. When the control unit will when it will signal that perform the addition, that time that addition will take place. Okay, hope you are getting what I am trying to say. So now moving on to the next memory, that is a cache memory. Okay, so the cache memory is nothing but it is also one of the high speed memory, but it is placed where in between RAM and the CPU. Okay, see the diagram. There is a cache. They have mentioned the types of cache, that is L1 and L2 cache, but basically normally we say caches are located in between RAM and the CPU. Then why these cache memories are used? See, as I said, when we perform anything, that data will be initially stored in the RAM memory. Yes. So what the processor will do, first this CPU will check whether the data is available inside the cache memory. This will not directly check whether the data is there in the RAM memory. It will first check whether the data is available in the cache memory for the processing. If that data is not available in the cache memory, then only the processor will check for the RAM memory. Okay, now see, a cache memory stores data that is used more often temporarily and makes it available to CPU at a faster rate. Hence it is used to increase the speed of processing. Okay. See what happens. One simple example I'll take. All of you are using the mobile phones, right? So all of you are using the mobile phones, and we all are using the WhatsApp application. Yes. So in the WhatsApp application, what we do the chattings. Yes. You message to some other person. So when we do a message to, when I send a message to my friend, say Pooja, what I will do? I will open her chat box, right? in my phone, and what I'll do, I type a message and I'll send it to her, and after that I close the WhatsApp. But when I again open that application, what will happen on that application? What I see, her name will come with her chat box, yes or no. So I can directly click on that and I can start texting, messaging her. I need not to search again where is that puja located. Yes. So why that has come on the first page of the WhatsApp? Because the software is written such a way that it thinks that you may need that person again, you want to send that message to that person again, user may again send the message, thinking that way that will keep that puja on your first screen. Yes. So similarly here also, whatever data you do processing, you have done now arithmetic operation 2 plus 3. Yes. So what will happen, that data will be brought from RAM to cache first, after RAM to cache, and that will be stored in the registers. So when you bring the data to the cache, what happens, next time when we perform the addition, again the 2 plus 3, the CPU will not check your information directly inside the RAM memory. What it will do, it will check whether the data is available in the cache memory first. Cache memory will be nearer to the CPU than that of the RAM memory. First it will check in the cache. If that information is available in the cache memory only, then it will directly take the data from the cache memory. No need to search for the RAM. Yes. So by doing like this, what it will increase, it will increase the speed of the processing, because we are getting directly from the cache, no need to go for RAM memory. Okay. Now the cache memory is very expensive in the sense it is very costlier. Why it is costlier? So when we pay more amount for anything, we think if that is worth. Yes, here it is giving the higher performance, high speed it is a high speed memory, so that is the reason it is a very costlier, that is expensive, and so it is smaller in size generally. Okay, so computers have cache memory of sizes around 256 KB to 2 MB. Okay, so what is a cache memory? Question can be asked for 1 mark. It is a very high speed memory placed in between RAM and CPU. Now see the diagram. Processor is there. So inside the processor, what is located? Registers are there. Yes. Then next there is one type of cache, that is L1 cache, that is also placed inside the processor only. Processor is nothing but CPU only. Yes. And there is another type of cache, that is L2 cache. Where it is placed? It is placed between this processor, means CPU, and memory. Memory is nothing but RAM memory. Okay. So now we will see what is this L1, L2, and one more type of cache is there, that is L3 cache. Here L3 cache is not mentioned in the diagram because that will not be there on all the systems. Okay. Now see the types of cache, or they can also be called as levels of cache. First level is level 1, that is L1 cache. What it is extremely fast but relatively small and is usually present inside the CPU. Just now we saw the diagram. L1 cache was present inside the CPU, that is inside the processor. Yes, and it is extremely fast because that is too much nearer to your processing registers. Okay. The size of L1 cache varies up to 256 KB. It can be around 256 KBs. Now the next cache is level 2, that is L2 cache. So it may be located where? We saw in the diagram, that is it is located outside the CPU on a separate chip. A high speed system bus interconnecting the cache to the CPU. Okay, so L2 cache, it may be where it is located outside the CPU on a separate chip. A high speed bus interconnecting this cache to the CPU. What is the size of this L2 cache? It can vary up to 6 MBs. See, the size of L1 cache was smaller, that is 256 KB. L2 cache size is of around 6 MBs. Moving on to the next, that is L3 cache. So not only the L1 and L2, some systems come up with L3 cache. Okay, so in addition to those built in L1 and L2, some CPUs have a separate cache chip on the motherboard, that is called as a L3 cache. What will be the size of this? It is bigger compared to those L1 and L2, that is sizes of around 12 MB. Okay, I hope you all are getting. So in this topic, cache topic, what they can ask what is a cache memory, or explain the types of cache memory, or what is a cache memory, explain the levels of cache memory. So you need to write the definition of a cache, then draw the diagram and explain these three levels. Or they can ask here one more question, that is what are registers. You need to write the definition. Okay, so now moving on to the next memory, that is a primary memory. This primary memory is also called as a main memory of the computer system. Okay, so we have seen in the last year, this primary memory is divided into two parts. Okay, there are two kinds of primary memory. One is RAM, another is ROM. RAM is nothing but random access memory, and ROM is read only memory. So what is this RAM? It is nothing but a temporary storage, right? It is a temporary storage which stores our computer's operating system. Yes, why we have to place our operating system onto the RAM? RAM is basically used for storing the applications which are currently being used, which are currently being run by our computer system. So operating system has to be loaded onto that kind of memory, right? Because currently we are using that operating system. Yes, so RAM is a RAM temporarily stores what? The computer's operating system and the application programs on which we are working. Yes, and current data, so that the processor can reach them quickly. So you can process those data quickly. Okay, and RAM is comparatively, it is a faster memory, and it is volatile in nature. What does mean by volatile? Volatile means when you switch off the power, when the computer is shut it down, what happens? The data which is present in that RAM memory will be lost. So okay, you have opened a Word file and you type some data, half page you type, you don't save the file, and the current goes off, power goes off of that system. Then what will happen? Whatever you have written on that file, the data will get vanished, that will be get erased. Okay, because that was temporarily stored on the memory, that is RAM memory. Okay, now we'll see some of the types of RAM. First one is DRAM, that is dynamic random access memory. The next type is SRAM, that is static random access memory. Third one is SDRAM, that is synchronous dynamic random access memory. Fourth is DDR/SDRAM, that is double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. So what you have to remember here, out of these four, question can be asked: expand DRAM, or expand SRAM, or expand SDRAM, or expand DDR/SDRAM. So this was asked in one of the question paper, expand these things. Okay, so now moving on to the next memory, that is ROM memory. ROM is comparatively smaller and it stores the boot firmware called as BIOS. So BIOS we saw, right? It was one of the component of the motherboard. What it holds? It holds the instructions or the software to check whether the hardware devices attached to the computer system are working properly, are functioning properly or no. Yes, so that instructions are stored where? They are stored on the memory called as a ROM memory. Okay, so ROM is a small memory which stores the boot firmware called BIOS. BIOS holds enough information to enable the computer to check its hardware and load its operating system into the RAM at the time of system booting. In the sense, when the system was booting in the sense, when we switch on the system, what happens? System starts booting. In the sense, the process is nothing but it is oning the system. The system is getting on. That is nothing but booting. Okay. Now, ROM is a non-volatile in nature. Non-volatile in the sense what? Whatever data we have stored in the ROM memory, that will not get vanished or that will not get erased when the current goes off or when the power goes off. That data will remain in the RAM, that will remain in the ROM memory even after the failure of power supply. Okay, so right now what we saw, ROM is a small memory which stores the BIOS, which holds enough information to enable the computer to check its hardware and what it does, it loads the operating system into its RAM at the time of system booting. ROM is non-volatile in nature, that is, even when the power computer is switched off, the contents of ROM remains available. Yes, I hope you are getting. So in this session we are done with the one component of computer system, that is memory. What we saw here, memory is divided into two, that is internal and external memory. In the internal, again we have three types, that is register memory, cache memory and primary memory. So we saw in little depth of all these memories. Question can be asked from this. Okay, so next, last part is remaining, that is power supply to the computer system, that we will see in the next session. Okay, thank you.